Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar on cannabis regulation. My name is Gary Zepke, and I'm the Senior Director of Sales Engineering here at Acela. I am joined by two of my colleagues, Eddie Hunt and Josh Ely, who are both Senior Sales Engineers. A couple quick housekeeping items. Today's session will be recorded. You will receive a link via email within the next 24 hours. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A feature on the screen. This will allow us to track messages and manage all incoming questions and get back to you ASAP. If you do experience any technical issues, let us know via the chat feature and we'll provide assistance right away. So today we're going to break it down and take a few things to talk about and starting off with the goals and priorities. So some of the main themes that we want to focus on for today's webinar is looking at ways to simplify the process, communication throughout every step through both internal and external individuals, transparency amongst internal departments, the capability to work anytime, anywhere using mobile processing. And you'll see throughout the entire process today, we're going to share and show analytics, which is using Acela Insights. So we're going to break today's presentation down into three components. First, we're going to take a look at the citizen experience, or what we refer to as the digital front door. Next, we'll take a look at agency processing, also referred to as back office processing. And then we'll wrap things up with the field workers and mobile processing. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first scenario. So one of the common themes we hear is when folks are applying for and getting approved for social equity, it seems to be a very time-consuming process, resulting in a lot of overwhelming rejections. And so let's take a look at how Acela can help streamline that process and make it more efficient for both your business users and for your internal folks. So I'm going to turn it over to Josh to get us started.
All right, thanks, Gary. So with Acela, your program staff and management teams have access to dashboards and analytics built right into the product. So you can more easily monitor your cannabis regulatory programs and get better insights into that data. So you can see things like statistics, number of applications and different statuses, measure progress towards program goals, and then see information that trends over time or categorically or by location on a map. So you get better view into what's going on. One of the things that you can do as well is dive a little deeper into that information. So if we want to take a look at some of the reasons and why these applications are coming in and being turned down, we can get a quick view of that with some more detail. And we can categorize things by different reasons. So you can see there are a couple of main things that are popping out here. There's no proof, they're not providing the right proof of eligibility or any proof of eligibility, or they're just not meeting the criteria that you set forth in those different programs. And you can also get some things, quick views on, what are the criteria that are causing, them the most trouble to be able to, understand and how they would, qualify for that. And then with that information, so now you've got some good data around that supports feedback that's coming in from your applicants, that's coming in from your teams, to be able to then determine, where could we make improvements in the process to help streamline things. And that's where Eddie's going to talk about some opportunities with citizen experience that could help improve this type of process for your applicants.
Thanks, Josh. So now what we're looking at is the Acela Premium Citizen Experience, or that digital front door that we've mentioned. And what you want to do here is basically provide your citizens with ease of access to the right application at the right time, right? So, obviously we have the traditional menu structure where I can get to the cannabis regulation program that way. You can present your citizens with commonly accessed pages right here on the front screen, but you can also use a predictive search to find what you're looking for. So as an applicant who's interested in finding out if I'm eligible for the equity program, I could type in equity and all the results reside here. And if I select the equity program, I'm going to be able to present details about that program to my citizen, let them know what it entails, rules and regulations, what might be required. And then there are also some conditions that vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, but here you have to meet 3 conditions to qualify. Now, while you could read those and decide, you can also use our eligibility wizard to determine if you're eligible before you submit the application. So we're trying to get out in front of those rejected applications here. So the first condition is, what is your annual household income? Are you going to qualify based on that combined with the number of people in your household? If you're over that threshold, you can see here that you do not qualify, but we also do provide them with a link to a standard non-social equity application. Now, if your income falls below a certain threshold, then you do qualify. We also remind them that they need to provide the proof of income, because that was another reason applications were getting rejected. But now we can move on to the next condition, which is your residency. Are you residing in a zone that was impacted by marijuana laws? So you could use your current location or type in an address, and it will tell you in the results here that yes, your residence qualifies. Make sure you upload that proof when the time comes, and you can move on to the next step in the eligibility check, which is conviction. Did you have a marijuana related conviction between these dates, right? If you did not, you could still qualify if you had a family member, a parent, sibling, or child who did. If so, then congratulations, you qualify for this program. Make sure you upload proof. So we're getting out in front of that, letting them know, yep, based on your responses, you do qualify. By clicking done, now I can get right into that social equity application seamlessly. And here's an acknowledgement form where I can read and accept the terms. And it's also going to pass in the answers that I gave to those questions right into my social equity application here. So you can see that. And I move on to the next step, which is the documentation, right? So if they're not uploading the documentation, it's getting rejected. So what we do here is we create placeholders. They must upload proof of these three conditions to submit their application. If I try to continue here, it's going to let me know you can't continue till you upload that proof. So we're trying to make sure that, you know, what the one shot is successful with the submission. Now I can always save and resume later if I need to go track something down, and it's going to create a temporary application for me that I can just pick up whenever I come back and have my proof. And while we're here, I also wanted to show you an example of a much more complex application. This mixed light cultivation application that I have saved, I can pick up where I left off, which is at the review stage of this application. But just goes to show you just how detailed these applications can get. So with the cultivation application, we're going to collect applicant information and questions. We allow the applicant to assign affiliated contacts, so a manager or an attorney or some sort of affiliate could follow along in the process and even receive notifications. Of course, we want all the location information, business related questions. But then also with cultivation, we want to collect a bunch of environmental related questions. How are we getting our lighting? You know, where are we getting our water from? How are we storing it? How are we discharging it? What are we doing to affect air quality? What are we putting into the ground? And we're collecting all of this information because there's so much regulation around cannabis cultivation. And then of course we have our documentation that all must be attached as part of that submission. And then you can just digitally sign this application right here, continue, submit, pay, and move on with the process very efficiently.
Great. Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, Josh. So folks, as you can see, you're all well aware, it's can be very overwhelming for a customer coming out and looking at all this information. So by creating these guardrails and making it a very streamlined process with the wizards, it can really help guide the users through the entire experience, which creates improved customer satisfaction for all. Let's take a look at our next scenario, which is taking a look at the agency processing. So with multiple departments all trying to access the same record at any given time, it's imperative that we have a very robust workflow engine, allowing everybody to have full transparency at both the internal and external level so that everybody has access to the information, everybody knows what's going on at every given time. So I'm going to turn it back over to Eddie to take you through how we can help solve that issue.
Thanks, Gary. So now what we're looking at is the Excella Civic Platform back office. So this is the agency user experience, and to get into workflow, I'm going to show a workflow-oriented dashboard this time. So this is a cannabis application dashboard that displays, you know, where things stand in the workflow process, right? We throw our applications into some buckets here. Some are at the intake, some are under review, some are at the inspection phase, some have been issued. And we have these date filters that are always available on all of our dashboards to quickly toggle that. And just like Josh showed, these are interactive dashboards. So if I want to focus in on, say, cultivation applications, I can, of course, click on that part of the donut, and it's going to update all of the visuals on the screen. It also shows me where these business locations are on a map. You also have the ability to drill into some of the details here. So if I want to get a closer look at what applications are currently in review, I can click on that. It's going to take me to another page within this dashboard. I'm zeroing in on the workflow tasks for the records in review. So it breaks them down by record type. And of course, I can zero in on cultivation. And then on the right here, I have a table that shows me, the records, who's assigned the workflow task and what that task is. So I can see quickly what those are. And then the last page of this dashboard is focused on actual active licenses. So we've got licenses broken down by type. And of course, once again, if I filter it, I can see all of my active cultivation licenses and even pull in some financial information, what they've been invoiced, do they have an outstanding balance? So with one click, I get a really nice view of what's going on in my jurisdiction from an application perspective. And Josh is going to show you how this information gets here.
All right, so when your users log into the back office, they're presented with their to-do list. So these are the things that are assigned to them based on their role. So they have quick access to get into those records and do their reviews or schedule inspections or issue licenses, depending on where things are at. Diving into a record, a quick summary about the application and what's been submitted is presented to them across the top. And then down the left-hand side is all of those details of that application. And that could vary based on the type and the role of the user. So you can see the information that Eddie showed in the application process around the business information that was entered by the applicant, any of the environmental fields that have been filled out. And then all of this data here is supported through reporting and analytics so that you can keep a better eye on your regulatory programs and making sure that they're in compliance with the rules that you've set up for that. Some other things that are quickly available to them, again, all of the contacts, so making sure that they've provided the appropriate contacts for the business, as well as those documents. So during that review stage, making sure that they've provided all of the documents based on the type of application that it is, and your teams can quickly preview those and making sure they've included, the right information along with that application. Some other details as this moves along will capture all of the communication between the applicant and your program staff, so that's part of that system of record. And then when those reviews are done, your teams will simply go out to their workflow assignment and then take action on that workflow. So these are statuses that will drive what happens next in that process, whether it's accepting it, moving it on, or if additional information is required, that can be flagged and sent back to the applicants with some comments and details around what else is needed. So really easy to quickly see what's relevant for your task in the workflow, and then action that within the system. Speaking of workflow, really one of the advantages of the Civic platform is the flexibility and in the workflow design. So this is a drag and drop design tool. And at each one of these steps, you're able to define where it should be routed, either to department, team, staff, as well as details around different types of information that you want collected. If you want to measure how your teams are performing against maybe a desired time frame at a workflow, those are some parameters that can be set here. And then through analytics, you can see how that's being performed, and then look for opportunities to streamline that. So really robust workflow engine in terms of defining the tasks that happen. And then at each one of these stages, when you connect these tasks, you're able to define different statuses that will then drive what happens with communication, as well as where it can be routed at that particular step. And you can also see the dynamic nature of that workflow that can be taken based on complexity. So here, moving things linearly, step by step, making sure that things are accepted and reviewed, as well as being able to push it out to multiple agencies, multiple users or departments at a given step, so that they can do concurrent reviews in the solution and collaborate with each other to be able to streamline, what's going on with the different applications. So a lot of opportunity to leverage the workflow within Excella to automate and streamline how you process applications.
Great, thanks, Josh. So folks, as you can see, we're barely scratching the surface on what it can do, but it's kind of the heart, the back soul of it is the robust, powerful engine that we have. So it really helps to automate and streamline the workflow, allowing that full transparency amongst all the departments. So as Josh showed you the linear there, where multiple departments can be looking at any given time. They can go in and see where the record resides at any point in time during the workflow process. And then again, having full communication at all stages for both your internal and your external folks. So now let's take a look at our final area that we're going to focus in on, and that's field workers and mobile processing. In today's world, we all know that everybody's on the go and people have to have access to their work at any given time, but they also have to be able to have constant communication with back office employees along with the business owners. Let's take a look at how Accela can help streamline that process. Back over to you, Josh.
All right, so for this, we're going to take a look at it from the perspective of citizens submitting complaints and field workers using our mobile solution to investigate and document what's happening with that. So if you've already started up a cannabis program, you probably are receiving a number of different types of complaints from the community or from the consumers of that for that. And so what you're looking at here is that same website that Eddie showed earlier, that portal, being able to find what's relevant around your consumers and what they're looking for. And you can provide them with simple forms for them to fill out. So from a complaint standpoint, we want to make it easy for the person that's reporting it, but we also want to be able to standardize for your team so that things can get routed to the right place and that reporting and compliance can be better managed with that. So here we can collect reasons around that complaint. We can ask them questions about who it's against. And you can provide them with drop-down options or free-form type of entries, as well as collecting information about the business that's being reported against, and then descriptions about exactly what happened, so that you have all the context that's needed. If you want to give them an opportunity to provide attachments, pictures are worth 1,000 words. Here's the product that was an issue. Here's the disposal that's going on outside the facility. That looks to be improper, something like that. They can take a picture and attach that really quickly. And then stepping through this again, you'll design the information that you would want to collect here, but asking them for some contact information so that you can follow up with them or they can be updated around what's happening related to that complaint. And then once they submit that, these can then follow those workflow rules that you have defined. So they can be routed into your back office teams for review, or direct assignment out to investigators who can then go, follow up with the complainant as well as the businesses that are involved in that. And Eddie's going to show you how you can use the mobile app to do that out in the field.
Thanks, Josh. So now what we're looking at is my iPad. And as an investigator or an inspector, I'm able to utilize the Accela mobile app right here on my device. And this is compatible with any iOS, Android, or Windows device. And when I open the Accela mobile app, it's going to give me my job list. So I've got a list of investigations that have been assigned to me. I can always refresh this list by just simply dragging down on the list, and it'll load any new investigations or inspections that have been assigned to me since the last time I was here. It plots those out on the map, as you see, and it gives me some high-level information, right? I can see where I'm going, the name of the business. I also have, if they've provided it, a phone number or a text message option. So if I want to give an en route message, say, hey, I'm on my way, I can do that. And then use whatever routing app you prefer on your device. Once I get to the site of the investigation, I just click on that job, and it's going to give me a job summary screen here. So you can see, I know I'm at Van Elbow Dispensary for this complaint investigation. We're looking at a product concentration complaint. So I've got the high level information. Contact information. I can see other inspections that may have occurred here. If I want more information about this business, since they're a licensed business, I can go in and view the business record as well. So I have kind of a 360-degree view of this business. I've got my kind of digital file cabinet right at my disposal, so I can see any contact information that's assigned here, documents, any other inspections that have occurred, related records, and I can even see the workflow tasks associated with this particular job. When I go back and I'm ready to actually perform the investigation, there's going to be a checklist or multiple checklists associated with this complaint. So once I get there, I just pull up this checklist that as an organization, we've configured for our needs. And now I can just go through and start marking these items as either in or out of compliance or whatever statuses I want to give them. And then if I want to add a comment along the way at a checklist item, I can do that free form, or I can even pull from like a standard bank of comments that we've built. And then I can also pull photos or videos from my device. So if I've taken some photos along the way, maybe I want to add that and even like point something out on that photo, I can annotate. And then this sticks with this record along the way. So when the back office users are reviewing it, they can pull up all these comments and photos. Everybody's got the view that they need. And then once I'm ready to result this investigation, I have a list of configured statuses here. So let's say they're in violation, one last chance to make an overall investigation comment. And then as the inspector or investigator, I can sign this here. If I need to, hand it over to a responsible party who can sign it. And then I will submit that result, and that'll update, everyone who needs to be updated, notified of the result of that investigation. What I can also do right on the spot is run reports. So I can run a report, an inspection results report right here on my mobile device. And that I can turn around and print that out on site, or if there's a mobile printer that I carry, or I can use, our typical methods like text message, email, AirDrop, and I can send them this report. And of course, you can format this to your needs. You can see it's got the comments and the photographs. And I'm closing the loop on my investigation on the spot. So then I can go back to my job list and just move on to the next job without having any additional tasks hanging over my head when I get back to the office or back to my vehicle. So on top of that, I can then get enforcement dashboard information. So I've got these violations that I put in the system. Now we're going to report on that data, right? So using Excella Insights, I have a dashboard related to violations by license type. I can see violations over time. I can even see, who's my most frequent violators, right? So integrity growers here, and then I can see all the different violations that integrity growers has had. Maybe I need to make a visit or a phone call with them, but at my fingertips, I have that data available to make those decisions.
Great. Thank you, Eddie. So folks, as you can see, again, taking a look at the overall mobile processing, the anytime, anywhere access for everybody, improving the field workers' capabilities and communications, and then just communications on the go for all. So it really, truly is a powerful system overall. So that concludes today's presentation. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us. If you do have follow-up, please feel free to reach out. We'd be more than happy to set up a more detailed demo for your organization. So once again, thank you and have a wonderful day.